ओ ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। 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 ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् संदधामि ऋदं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। नारायण नारायण नारायण। सुप्रीम कॉन्शियसनेस भगवान कृष्णा answering the question of Arjun about the man of steady wisdom, Sthita Prajna, which Arjun asked in verse number 54, answering that question, you will notice, is starting from verse number 55, Bhagwan gave couple of properties of a man of steady wisdom first. He started with the definition, then he gave couple of aspects of a man of steady wisdom, his behavioral aspect, how internally he functions, how he reacts to things around. He answered a couple of things about the man of steady wisdom first, and then he got into, actually moved away from the topic and gave a series of verses directly advising the seekers, spiritual seekers, in terms of what is the importance of self control in life, and what are the ways to actually exercise self control, and with a proper example of what happens if a seeker loses sight or alertness or vigilance towards self control. Well, that's what Bhagwan gave in two verses explaining the ladder of fall. So you will see the verse which we took in the last session, verse number 70. In that verse, actually, Bhagwan, Supreme Consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna, is actually trying to talk about the actual aspect of a man of steady wisdom, the one who is a sthita prajna. Bhagwan is talking about that, at after the series of verses of self control. All Bhagwan, when Bhagwan talks in the verse number 70 about a man of steady wisdom, you will see the culmination there, that a man of steady wisdom does not have to work towards self control anymore. Self control becomes natural for this man of steady wisdom. It is actually free flowing for this man of steady wisdom. It's completely effortless for this man of steady wisdom, and that's exactly what Bhagwan mentioned in the verse where we left last in the last session, and verse number 70. Before I read that particular verse, there are a couple of things I want to explain. Then I'll read the verse, then take Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's bhashya also. Then we'll go further into the meaning from where we left in the last session. So you will see, and there are a couple of corrections, not corrections exactly, couple of additions I want to do for the explanation of verse number 69 also, which I'm going to do now. I think I did not touch base upon the entire bhashya of Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. Certain aspects, while explaining it, I did not touch it at that time. I'll explain those also before I move back into verse number 70 where we left in the last session. So you will see in the verse number 69, Bhagwan talked about or spoke about the vision of a man of steady wisdom. What is the vision of a man of steady wisdom? And you will see that in the last verse, which is verse number 69, when Bhagwan spoke about the vision of the man of steady wisdom, it seems from a behavioral, from a worldly standpoint, what is his vision? You will see that. And we will understand from that for a man of steady wisdom, from the level of a behavioral aspect or an action oriented world, you will see when a man of steady wisdom his vision completely changes. There is a level of peace which this man attains after reaching that particular level. You will notice that from the last verse itself. So you can conclude that even if you want peace at the level of actions of the world, or at the behavior level also, if you want peace, that for that also, the aspects of self control are extremely important. And I think I picked it up many times before also. I'm picking it up again to highlight it into your memory. If you really read through the newspapers today, or newspapers in these recent times, or watch news channel, the kind of worse cases which are going on, worse kind of incidents which are going on, it really shocks you from your inner consciousness. Trust me, I'm telling you. I don't know how people have fallen down to such animalistic level that they have forgotten that they are a being sent into this world for something else. They are stuck in their desires so much that they cannot even see what is good for them. After doing such acts, what did they achieve? Just why can't people seeing such incidents, we all of us take back and think why we have lost that capacity to think what is right and wrong? What is that is missing in our life? What is missing in our life is a cultural education. We have completely forgotten our culture. We have forgotten the culture that for man, the biggest thing which is required when you are born as a human being is to learn this aspect, to live and let others live. It's very simple. That is the simplest thing you can do. From there, other things sprout out. So you will see that for a man of steady wisdom, all that we as normal people chase after today in our life, man of steady wisdom sees them as night. Means is completely sleeping towards that. One aspect I want to highlight, because somebody asked me this question also, I think I spent some time explaining that particular verse, and I also deciphered the understanding of that verse, what it is understood today and what it should be understood, or actually understood the way Bhagwan wants to explain. Please, I'm highlighting it again to make sure that we all are on the same page of understanding. Nowhere in that verse Bhagwan means that a man of steady wisdom is awake in the night and sleeping in the day. That is not the way we need to understand that verse. I highlighted that meaning because that's how common parlance understanding about that verse is, which is completely incorrect. And I told you, you need to pick up that aspects of day and night, which I elaborately explained there. And I told you, man of steady wisdom is sleeping towards or does not see or give importance to those things which we run after today, which is our daytime today. That is how you need to understand. So, I'll explain one thing which I missed from Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya in the last session. And in the second para of Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya, Bhagwan starts with the line, Kim tat parmartha tattvam sthita prajnasya vishayah. What is that man of steady wisdom awakened towards, which is our night today? What is that is awakened towards? He is awakened towards the eternal supreme consciousness, the eternal reality, which is Brahman, which is the supreme consciousness, which is Atman, Paramatman. All those terms we interchangeably use as words for that. Paramartha Tattvam, that which is the actual eternal truth. That is Paramartha Tattvam, which is Sthita Prajnasya Vishaya, which is the subject matter of a man of steady wisdom. That is what the man of steady wisdom's effort towards it. Now, compare it for us. That is a subject which we are all sleeping towards today. That is why Bhagwan compared the Ratri, the day and night there. It is not the physical day and night we are talking about. Please do not conclude this meaning at all, which is the common understanding that a man of steady wisdom is awake in the night and sleeping in the morning. That is not what it is to be understood. We have to pick up the actual meaning that we are sleeping towards the eternal truth, which is the actual light, the light of consciousness. Towards that, the man of steady wisdom is awake and we are sleeping. And that which we run after during our day, which has got only ephemeral reality, which is only temporal reality, which is a temporary reality, we are running after that day in and day out towards that, which is actually our daytime as of now today. Towards that, the man of wisdom is sleeping, means man of wisdom does not give importance to that at all. For the man of steady wisdom, what we chase after has got no meaning and no importance at all. He doesn't waste his time and life if running after that, which we feel that is the ultimate thing to be achieved in this life. Just think what all things we are chasing after and running after. And to explain that, Bhagwan Shankaracharya gave one example which I missed out explaining last time. Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Yatha Naktancharanam Ahaha Eva Sad. He gave an example of Nishachar. Nishachar means those beings which roam around in the night. And one of the best example I can give is owl. For an owl, if you just see that, for an owl, daytime is like complete darkness. That's how the setup of the eye of that owl is all about. Cannot see in the daytime at all, but can see very clearly in the night. So, now I'm giving an example why I did not touch last time, because I wanted to explain the verse first. Now, don't come back and understand that somebody is an owl and somebody is not an owl. That's not how you should conclude. Sometimes we understand things according to our own low level of understanding. but that may not be correct also. So Bhagwan is giving an example because it's easily understandable for us. If you see those, owl, etc., those beings who can see in the night but cannot see in the day, for them night vision is exactly like we can see in the daytime. For us, seeing in the night in dark is like, beating our head against the wall. We cannot comprehend anything. But for those beings, they can comprehend very well in the night, but they cannot comprehend anything in the day. So, sometimes when we see these nature aspects of nature, we just see them as a class of beings who are set up like that. But the only point is we lack our thinking. Why nature set up some things like that there are beings which can see in the night, cannot see in the day, means that nature wants to give us some indication. I'm telling you very honestly, in this creation, I'll say this loud and clear, there is nothing in this creation which does not have the capability to teach us something or the other, including what is happening around also. We can gather things to understand how low level people can fall, where all people can make mistakes, what are the kind of gross errors they do, how people spoil lives, how people make lives also, that example is there. So if you see these things, everything in this nature is for your learning. But if you don't pick up anything, it is a mere piece of information lying there, which is a completely waste. You just took out from there and put it in your or intellect, and your intellect becomes a dustbin. So Bhagwan says, Yatha Naktancharanam Ahaha Eva Sad Anyesham Nisha Bhavati. For the people who are Nishachar, or means those who roam around in the night time, okay, which is owl, etc. For others, day is their night, and others' night is their day. In the same way, now compare that thing with the ignorant man and a man of study wisdom. That which is a daytime for a man of ignorance is actually a night time for or other people. For the man of study wisdom, sorry, for the man of study wisdom, that which is daytime for a man of ignorance is actually a night time. Means the man of study wisdom does not give importance to the worldly chase of objects, things and situations, and towards that which is daytime for the man of study wisdom, actually we are all sleeping towards that, which is the supreme consciousness, the light of consciousness, the eternal truth, Brahman, Atman. That's what we are talking about. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says, अन्येषां निशा भवति तद्वत् नक्तञ्चर स्थानीयानाम् अज्ञानां सर्वभूतानां निशा इव निशा परमार्थ तत्वम अगोचरत्वात् अतद बुद्धिनाम. Just because we cannot touch the aspects of the agocharatvat, we cannot understand the aspects of supreme consciousness, it is actually a night time for us. And many a times we ignorant people wonder, what is this man of study wisdom is talking about? Why is he happy without anything in life? He doesn't seem to have a vast collection of things and luxury around him, but he seems to be more happier than us. We are sitting in the pool of things of luxury and things which can give comfort to us, and we feel more unhappier than the person. See, that is what Bhagwan Krishna, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, is explaining here as the day and night. That's one thing. Second thing I missed out is on the fourth para of Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Bhashya. Bhagwan says, Yasyam grahya grahaka bheda lakshanayam avidya nishayam. So our daytime, how our daytime is, Bhagwan has explained there. Our daytime is spanned across two different things. You should do the Bheda Lakshanayam. You see the different properties of the two things which are there. There are two things in our daytime. Grahya, Grahaka. That which is to be, gained, and that which is to be captured, that which is to be held on to, and Grahaka, that one who is supposed to hold on to that. So there is a Grahak, means a customer, in a literal word, there is a customer, and grahya, there is an object. So our world is like a customer and object. Everything we run after is like a customer. We are the customer, and the thing we run after is an object. Now, please remember, when I use such words, object and all those things, we chase after people and situations also. Don't now come back and say that, I qualified people also as objects. I'm only classifying everything as one under one bracket. Grahya, I cannot translate completely in terms of how to put that in English so much so to say. So I'm classifying it as those things which are outside of us as the one who is supposed to hold on to. All those are classified as grahya. Everything other than me is grahya for me. And I am what? Grahaka, the one who is supposed to chase after, run after, or hold on to who thinks. So grahya, grahaka. So that's the, and everything that though everything of those, all of those things actually Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has classified as avidya nishayam. They are all falling under the umbrella of ignorance. That is why nishayam. Since it is ignorance, here means it is darkness, and we are all awake towards that. Prasuptani eva bhutani. And people are running after those things even though they are sleeping, and they are sleeping also chasing, like what? Swapna drishaha. Like, even though we see physically a man sleeping, but he's acting too much because he's dreaming right now. In the same way, even though we are all sleeping towards the eternal reality, but we seem to be chasing, sweating and toiling around those things. So that's what Bhagwan meant over there. So these two things I missed explaining last time, so I picked it up now. Now, in the Sayuma Upanishad, which I said, where Bhagwan actually gave series of 11 verses talking about self-control, Bhagwan said that, if we lose our focus, lose our alertness and vigilance as a seeker, there is definitely something which we are going to miss out, and we may end up coming across something called a ladder of fall, and our fall is definite if we reach that state at any point in time. Before those 11 verses which Bhagwan gave on the importance of self-control, prior to those 11 verses, in the 3 verses prior to that, Bhagwan spoke about the fact that for a man of steady wisdom, his wisdom about, or his knowledge about the eternal reality, supreme consciousness, is actually completely independent of any kind of situation. And that's the topic which Bhagwan picked up. As you will see that in those verses Bhagwan gave the points like dukkeshu anudvigna manaha, sukheshu vigatas prihaha. Even at the time of sorrow also, or at the time of happiness also, this person remains equanimous during those time, though neither the sorrow impacts or makes that person disturbed, or nor he rejoices too much in the level of happiness also. Means it doesn't get carried away the state of happiness. And then Bhagwan continued would like that at forward saying, nabhi nandati nadveshti tattat prapya shubha shubham. Even when and he achieves auspicious situations or things in life, if or comes across inauspicious situations in life, so both things Bhagwan picked up. Sukha and dukkha means happiness and sorrow at the time when happiness or sorrow reaches this person, and also shubha auspicious or inauspicious situations arrive in the life of such a person, and his wisdom about the self, his knowledge about the self does not get disturbed or shaken up at all, actually remains untouched. What happens today with us is our knowledge keeps falling, getting up, falling, getting up, falling, getting up, depending upon situations which arise in our life. We may be knowledgeable about things, but the moment sorrow reaches our life, we are completely derailed, disturbed. Our wisdom is not available for us only. There are people who have knowledge, but they also fall back on other people to seek help and other things. Bhagwan says this man of steady wisdom is completely free from any kind of disturbances which arise out of positive or negative situations things arriving in life. The actually situations become ineffective to create any kind of what do you call that, any kind of, to leave any kind of effect on the inner equipment of this man of steady wisdom. His inner state, his inner wisdom is completely free from the effect of any external situation or object. It is free from all kind of things which come in life. After these verses is from 58 to 68, 11 verses, Bhagwan and connected directly that for a seeker, giving advice to seeker. So he what do you call that, moved away from the topic of man of, while talking about the man of steady wisdom, explaining the man of steady wisdom, Bhagwan gave 11 verses talking about the importance of self control in life. And he connected that with, why he connected that to the description of man of steady wisdom, because he connected the self control in life, the aspect of self control in life, directly to your wisdom and knowledge you gain about the spiritual aspects of life. And if you really want to work towards maintaining that throughout your life and gaining perfectly in this life itself, then you cannot give up the effort towards self control. And the moment if you lose self control, Bhagwan used words like harati prajnam. And if self control is not there, he used another thing called haranti prasabham manaha. These verses and the verses before these two also, we must understand that it is not for a man of steady wisdom. Man of steady wisdom is free from all these things. So remember, man of steady wisdom has already established and reached the pinnacle of self control. For him, self control is obvious and natural now. He doesn't need to put effort towards that. Then who is that Bhagwan is advising through these verses? Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna is giving direct advice, reaching out to us as seekers, that we must listen to those 11 verses of self control and work towards them to imbibe those in our life. We need to work towards them to actually adopt that in our life. In the life of a man of steady wisdom, he has already reached the pinnacle of self control, and self control is established in such a way in the life of a man of steady wisdom that it becomes natural, free from all kind of efforts. So those verses, we as seekers must understand that Bhagwan through those verses is actually addressing us directly. Us means those people who have recently gained a small bit of knowledge about the spiritual aspects. Those people who started to understand the spirituality now, those people who started to understand that in this mumbo jumbo of life, which we understood till date, that cannot be the end goal of a human life at all. We must spend some time of our life to actually walk piece by piece, kilometer by kilometer, mile by mile, towards the actual goal of every being. I'm not talking about human being, yeah. And human life is the only life where it is possible to make an effort to walk towards that direction. So Bhagwan is addressing those people who have recently gained into the spiritual knowledge, whose spiritual knowledge is just started to sprout out in them, and for them, because their knowledge is not steady yet, it is just at the stage of sprouting out. When a seed sprouts out into a small, when a sapling sprouts out into thing, and what happens at that time is too delicate to be plucked. But the moment it holds on to the ground and becomes like a tree, then anybody and everybody can't cut it off. So we are right now in the stage of the sapling stage, and just sprouting out right now. It's too delicate. So it is for us, Bhagwan is calling out to us that we must make effort to protect it, so that things and animals or situations or wind or anything doesn't pluck it out and completely uproot it off and make it like a dead thing in for forever. So they have for us, we have not yet gained the nishtha, the complete faith, complete abidance in that which we have started to gain. Yes, small piece of knowledge has started to shine out in our mind, and we many times when we listen we think that, oh, I understand. Protect that understanding from the things which are outside the world, so that doesn't take it away. But for a man of study wisdom, his knowledge is firm, his faith is completely established, and nothing in this world can move away that faith. And I told you one thing, actually, there are many things from Shivratri I could bring out, and I think I touched upon this aspect when I was explaining the last verse also. Oh, when Mother Parvati did tapasya for Bhagwan Shiva, gaining Shiva, I told you many rishis came and were trying to disturb Mother Parvati, that and by telling her that you are this penance you are doing is waste. The person who you are doing it for is already burned Kam Devta. So what use is this penance then? You are doing a wasteful thing. But her nishtha, her faith was so strong that she said at one place, even if Bhagwan Shiva comes and tells me that your tapas is waste, don't do penance for me, still I will continue to do the tapas, so to say. It's already firm. Even if Bhagwan Shiva comes and tells me that your tapas is waste, why are you doing it for me and all, or Satbar Maheshu, even if 100 times Bhagwan Shiva comes and tells me, still will tabai tajauna naraj upadeshu. She says that even in spite of that fact, I'm not going to give up the advice given by my guru, which is Naraji. I still will continue to do the penance, even if Bhagwan Shiva comes and says. That is what is firm faith all about. In our Puranas and all, when we hear about Bhagwan Shiva and Mother Parvati, Bhagwan Narayana and Mother Lakshmi and all, there are many messages hidden in all those things. Because for actually, don't get caught up in the other things or the physical aspects of but try to learn the message which they are trying to give us. That is why you will see all our avatars of Bhagwan and are called Leela. Every aspect of the life of Bhagwan Krishna here is a Leela, and from everything you can pick up spiritual things. So sometimes when we will take up Srimad Bhagavat somewhere, I'll touch those aspects. Every Leela has got an spiritual meaning behind it. Whether it is Garvaharan Leela of Indra, whether it is Aghasur Vada, whether it is Kansa Vada, anything, killing of Kansa, killing of Aghasur, Putana Moksham, everything has got spiritual meaning in it. That is why it is called Leela. It is hidden with meaning. Yes, we can choose to listen to story and move on, but that's going to be incomplete. You can rejoice the stories also, because that's how we will develop devotion towards God. So story has got its own aspects, but deeper down in those stories are hidden spiritual meanings for us to uplift us in life, for us to strengthen the devotion to God, for us to understand who really Bhagwan is. Bhagwan is not only a blue-eyed boy playing around in Vrindavan like any one of us. But never make a mistake of calling Bhagwan a being. Bhagwan is not a being. The moment we call Bhagwan a being, we have made him like one of us. Means what? He has also got birth and death. I'm sorry, that is not the correct understanding of Bhagwan and as explained in Sanatan Dharma at all. Bhagwan incarnates for us. Bhagwan never incarnates for himself. The only objective of Bhagwan and to do incarnation or appear in this world is to only help his devotees. Whether that help can be killing the demons, killing those people who are troubling the devotees, or it could be uplifting devotees directly. But that is the only purpose of Bhagwan appearing here. Sarva dharman parityaja marmekam sharanam yoga. That is why Bhagwan says, come and take refuge in me. And Bhagwan explains in the verses also that yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijami aham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. See, the first line is paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. And also the first aspect of Bhagwan to come here as an incarnation is paritranaya sadhunam, to uplift my devotees, to uplift those people who are good to the society, to protect those people from the bad things, who are devoted to me, who are doing my work in the society, who are working towards upliftment of the society, who are actually facilitating my creation. And vinashaya cha dushkritam. And also for that I end up killing people who are adharma, who are doing bad things, who are spoiling the wheel of creation, who are obstructing the wheel of creation, so to say. So those are the way we need to understand the avatars of Bhagwan also. So Bhagwan says that for a man of steady wisdom, his knowledge is already firm, his faith is completely established. It does not have any scope at all to be shaken up by anything in this creation. Rather, I would use this word, Bhagwan says, I will not do it, but Bhagwan says himself that I can place them at a pinnacle that even I cannot move their faith. The way I explained you who that about Mother Parvati said, even if Bhagwan Shiva himself comes and says that it's a waste of time you're doing penance for me, I am not the way you have understood, still I'm not going to believe. I'll go by what my Guru has told Naraji. I'll go by his advice and I want to gain Bhagwan Shiva. See, that's the things, the way it's been shown. And that is why you will see when I use the prayer in the last session about Shivratri prayer, Bhavani Shankarau Vande, Shraddha Vishwasa Rupino. One is faith and one is belief. So Shraddha Vishwasa Rupino. Yabhyam Vinana Pashyanti Siddha Swantastham Ishwaram. Anyway, so we'll move into the further verses there. Bhagavan says, is that the one whose wisdom is completely firm already, his faith is completely fixed, nothing, no situation in this world can shake that person and at all, but that is not a property yet of us as seekers. That's why all the teachers of Vedanta, all the so-called intellectual acharyas of Vedanta, they all say that in the second chapter, Sthita Pragya, the topic of Sthita Prajna, properties of a Sthita Prajna, actually that helps a seeker more than actually, they are actually for the help of seeker more than actually explaining the properties of a man of wisdom. So they are more helpful for a seeker. Remember one thing, Bhagwan is the one who is, Bhagwan is Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. So Bhagwan is the guru of this whole creation. So when Bhagwan teaches, he through Arjun is giving a message to all of us who, some of us may have become Arjun, some of us are long far away from becoming an Arjun, some of us are in the process of becoming Arjun, but this message goes for all of these people in the category. But not for those people who are completely disseminated, completely on the other side, walking the completely opposite path. So I'm not even talking about them. Knowledge is for those who are ready. And when you are ready, things will reach you. That's how the creation has been made. And I told you before also, by God's grace, I'm telling you, this entire podcast, when I started for a small bit of audience, today by God's grace, there's reached so many people around the world. But trust me, entire credit goes to Bhagavan Krishna only, because I did not advertise at all. All of you reached on your own. How did you reach? When you are ready, you will reach where you want to reach. So that is the point you need to understand. Even after reaching also, some people fall off. Why? Because they have not done enough in their life to earn as punya. They have not done enough dharma in their life. they don't have so much of grace of God, so to say, and they don't make effort also towards it. So Bhagavan say, so all these so-called learned teachers of Vedanta, the acharyas, they call about that at the second and in the Sthita Pragya Lakshana is actually for helping the seekers more than actually explaining the properties of a man of steady wisdom. And they all say, basing that on Bhagavad Gita only, that in actually, if you look at Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan and himself says that a man of steady wisdom, for him, why should you even talk about situations? What to talk about situations in the life of a man of steady wisdom? Even the trigun, the three gunas, which is sattva, rajas, and tamas, they also do not have any impact on the man of steady wisdom at all. They cannot trouble the man of steady wisdom at all. They cannot touch the man of steady wisdom at all, so to say. That is why, when one of the verses in second chapter itself, Bhagavan told Arjuna, no, Nistray Gunyo Bhavarjuna. That's why you should cross across Triguna. Cross across means what? Who crosses across? Man of steady wisdom. In the 14th chapter, 22nd verse, Bhagavan says, Prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha pandava na dveshtim sampravrittani na nivrittani kankshati. In this chapter, 14th chapter, 22nd verse, Bhagavan says, a man of steady wisdom or a jnani actually has already crossed over the three gunas. He didn't say, Bhagavan didn't say over there, Supreme Consciousness, Bhagavan Krishna didn't say that a man of steady wisdom always seeks for sattva, always seeks for, or runs after the life, always continuously makes effort towards having living in the light of knowledge. Doesn't say that. Bhagavan says prakasham in that verse 14 which I spoke about. Prakasham means sattva guna, pravrittim means rajoguna, mohameva means tamoguna. Out of these three triguna, none of these three he has got any impact on the man of steady wisdom. And none of these three gunas can make a man of steady wisdom act in this world. None of these three gunas, as they don't think that when the guna comes, they understand I'm above the triguna, so to say. Let them act through me as they want, but I am not involved in them at all. They don't find any disturbance with any of these gunas at all. They don't even feel it is as important also, so to say. It makes no difference for the man of steady wisdom whether any guna comes or any guna goes. The one who is completely healthy, swastha means actually one who is completely established in himself, in the self, in the supreme consciousness, in one's actual state, in one's eternal state, one who is established in that, and for that person, and doesn't worry about the different gunas coming and going at the level of inner equipment or intellect or anything. None of them has got any kind of power to disturb this person at all. For that man of steady wisdom, they are all secondary. They are all different from them. I am not them. I have got nothing to do with them. They are part of Prakriti. They will come and go according to the Prakriti. Those things which are not self, anatma, those actions which are pertaining to not self, that he doesn't make a mistake of accepting them as his own duty, his own dharma. He knows it very well. That which is not self does not belong to me, and it is not part of my duty. My duty is only towards the self, only towards the self. But rather, he knows very well that with those things which are not self, I refuse to get impacted by them. Also, they cannot impact me, they cannot touch me in totality. Once a person becomes asanga, or detaches from these things and attaches on to the true self, true nature of the self, the eternal reality, then that person will cannot be tainted by anything, cannot be caught off by anything, cannot be touched by anything. Means what? None of the external actions or dharma or anything can touch that person at all from an inner equipment perspective. As mentioned in the BMI chart, his I, which is intellect, I means not the ego here, huh? Intellect along with memory, they towards that the entire mind and ego is devoted, and in turn they are turned towards the supreme consciousness, which is Om. In this way, through Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan expounds upon this factor that a man of steady wisdom is completely free from all and every kind of situation. And that is exactly what Bhagwan spoke about, explaining the properties of a Sthita Prajna. The main verse is verse number 55, where Bhagwan said what? The core property of a man of steady wisdom is Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. He is completely fulfilled and contented in the self, by the self, all the time. So that topic, Bhagwan returns to that topic now in verse number 70. And in the verse number 69, Bhagwan talks about the vision of a man of steady wisdom, which I just explained again to you, some aspects of it. And Bhagwan says, whatever difference you see in this world of, as I explained to you, in grahya grahaka, that which is to be achieved, and one who is running after it to achieve it. So as a customer, the one who chases the things, and one who is that thing which is to be, so that which you are the one who are chasing the things, and all other things outside of you are something that chaseable, or objects of desire. It can be turned into objects of desire, objects of satisfaction for us. So what happens? And there is one aspect, that there are objects or things which are worthy of being chased after, and on the other side is grahaka. Grahak is who here? The senses along with antakarana becomes a grahaka, becomes the customer of those things. Keeping this grahya grahaka, this difference between in objects of chase and a person who is chasing after them, and keeping in this difference in mind, is what this entire worldly action is happening right now around us. The entire gamut of worldly action is happening in the light of this difference of a grahya and a grahaka, and all that is part of ignorance. Sa nisha pashyato mune, and a man of steady wisdom sees them as act of those people who are roaming around in darkness. Nishachar, like the example of owl I gave. So when we hear the sound of an owl moving around in the sky looking for food and everything, we think, what's wrong with this creature? Why can't it just go and sleep? Why it has to do it in the night? Why can't it do it in the day, and all those kind of things? So that's how a man of steady wisdom sees us. A Tattvadarshi, man of steady wisdom, sees the entire chase which is going around by the entire population in this world, by the major population part of the population in this world, as running around in the night to chase for living and chase for food. And means what? All of them are arising out of our ignorance. Ignorance means ignorance of the self, and the entire gamut of this population in this world are actually awake towards that. And a man of steady wisdom does not give any importance to those things at all, which is represented by the fact that he is sleeping towards that. So because these things and situations in the world loses importance in the sight of a man of steady wisdom. So in the verse number 69, the topic is changed here, And that topic, verse number 69, is not an advice for a seeker. Seeker's advice Bhagwan takes in the 11 verses until 68, starting from 58 to 68. 69, Bhagwan gives the vision of a jnani here, that what is the how a man of steady wisdom there looks around, and what is the vision of a man of steady wisdom in this world. And for a seeker, within those 11 verses, Bhagwan said dhyayato vishayan, and that the moment our mind loses alertness and vigilance, and objects and situations start to arise in our mind, our thinking turns towards them. Dhyayato, we start thinking over them. That is the start of our fall as a seeker. So we must take care of that point very clearly. Now I'll read the verse number 70 and read Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya, and we'll take up from there where we left in the last session. Verse number 70. आपूर्यमाणम् अचलप्रतिष्ठम् समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायम् प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी आपूर्यमाणम् अचलप्रतिष्ठम् समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायम् प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शांतिमाप्नोति न काम कामी. Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's bhashya on this verse. Apuryamaणम adbhihi achala pratishtham achalataya pratishthavasthitihi yasya tam achala pratishtham samudram आपः सर्वतो गताः प्रविशन्ति स्वात्मस्थम् अविक्रियम् एव सन्तं यद्वत् तद्वत् कामा विषय सन्निधौ अपि सर्वत इच्छा विशेषा यम पुरुषम समुद्रम इव आपः अविकुर्वन्तः प्रविशन्ति सर्वे आत्मनि एव प्रलीयन्ते न स्वात्मवशं कुर्वन्ति स शान्तिं मोक्षमाप्नोति न इतरः कामकामी काम्यन्ते इति कामा विषयाः तान् कामयितुं शीलं यस्य स कामकामी न एव प्राप्नोति इत्यर्थः. Supreme consciousness Bhagwan Krishna in this verse, as I left in the last session, gives us classification of two people here. Shantim sa apnoti. This category of person gains peace in life, and there is another category of person which most of us fall under, does not get peace in life at all. Rather, as I mentioned in the last session also, trying to chase after a peace in life, their life gets shattered into pieces. That is what I'll use the word here. Now, the biggest point you need to remember is all of us, all the beings in this world, I'm not only talking about human beings here, all of us wants peace, happiness, and freedom. Why I categorize that way, I'll tell you. All of us wants to be peaceful, and those things which disturb our peace, we want to just eliminate it from our life, isn't it? Now, elimination has got many aspects. One way of elimination is just move away from them. That is the only option we have. If we don't have the option of eliminating, means completely destroying it. That option is incorrect. That's animalistic. So here Bhagwan says, who are the ones who don't want peace? All of us are chasing and running after peace. But now see this category, who gains it. So Bhagwan made two categories here altogether. And that's the beauty of this particular verse, as you need to understand. And I'm telling you honestly, this verse also we need to understand, it is about Jnani, a man of steady wisdom here. Bhagwan is giving the example, and Bhagwan has compared a man of steady wisdom here with ocean. So that is the simile which Bhagwan has given. So anyway, Bhagwan says here, he says sa shantim apnoti. Okay, sa shantim apnoti, kama kami shantim na apnoti. These are the two categories Bhagavan has made. This person, who I explained with the simile, attains peace. And who does not attain peace? The one who is the desirer of desires. Kama kami. Who is full of desires, one after another. Now, desire also is a very, very, igniting thing in us, actually speaking. The more we fulfill, the more it flames up. It's like putting in, clarified butter into fire. Even though it looks like liquid, but rather than dosing the fire, it, flames up the fire. Isn't it? That is how actually desire is supposed to be, compared to that particular one. Chasing the desire is a fire, and fulfilling the desire is like putting clarified butter into the burning fire. It is only going to flame up. Even though it looks like liquid, it's not going to doze off at all. So Bhagavan says, who are the one who gain this peace? Yam sarve kamaha pravishanti. The one person in whom all the desired objects enter, all the desires enter. That is the one who gains peace. What is Bhagavan saying? How can the one who in whom all the desires enter gain peace? So how different are we today? How is it even possible? Bhagwan Bhashyakar in the next verse has explained there. Survey the word Bhagwan Bhashyakar has explained in verse number 71 as Asheshaha. Here Bhagwan Shankaracharya has explained here. Pravishanti swatmastam avikriyam eva santam yadvat. I'm going to explain that to you here. But Bhagwan Bhashyakar says, in the person in whom all the desires enter from all the sides. And how do the desires enter from all the sides? What is the simile which Bhagwan, Supreme Consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna has given? Samudram is given the example of an ocean. Like how in an ocean, water from all sides enter. I explained you in the last session also. I'm repeating it for you to just recall it back into your memory. Actually, the property of water is that water will always look or chase or run towards the ocean, because that is the end goal of a water. Water kept in any source, anywhere, will look for the ocean. That's why it will flow down. Even if it's coming from glaciers also, it will flow down. That is the property of water. So, like how water from all the rivers, streams, and every source runs towards the ocean, because the ocean is its final salvation point. So I'll use this word this way. For water, falling anywhere, from rainwater also anywhere, the moksha, the actual liberation of water is by going and joining into the ocean. That is the gati of a water. That is the final destination of a water. Without any kind of stoppage, water, or any part of the world will always run towards the ocean. Always look for the ocean, always run to enter the ocean. But even though water from all over the world, from every source, is entering into, from all rivers in any part of the world, is entering the ocean, what is the state of ocean still? even though water is entering from all sides. For that, Bhagwan, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna has used this word apuryamanam. Means what? Ocean is always full of water, but ocean doesn't need more water, but still water is running after the ocean. And even though water from all the sources run towards the ocean, they don't increase the level of ocean at all. Means what? They are not able to create any kind of vikara, any kind of modification, any kind of disturbance in the ocean. That is why one term which Bhagwan has used for, or Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna has used for ocean is achala pratishtham. It's undeterred, unmoved. Even though all sources of water chase after ocean, but ocean is always apuryamanam, achala pratishtham, is always full in itself, always contented in itself. Achala pratishtham is unmoved, undeterred. Means what? Is not able to, these sources of water coming and joining ocean is not able to create any kind of disturbance in the ocean. Even though rivers are constantly flowing towards the ocean, constantly filling the ocean, but in its own, the ocean is completely contented and fulfilled in itself. In the same way, because Bhagavan says Yadvat in the first half of the verse. Bhagavan says Yadvat, just as water from all sources flowing into the ocean does not, or create any kind of disturbance in the ocean. Ocean is always ever fulfilled and contented in itself. They are not adding anything to the ocean that way. In the Tadvat, in the same way, a man of realization also keeps on getting things from around the world because of his purva, upasnas means his own good karmas, and his, what you call that, acts of worship, devotion and all done in the past, and also coupled with the prarabdha and samashti prarabdha. Prarabdha has got vyashti prarabdha and samashti prarabdha. His own prarabdha, his own karma phala which is going to get in this life, along with samashti prarabdha of prarabdha of people around him also. This man of realization continue to get at things entering this person, but this person, man of wisdom, remains undeterred, undisturbed. And we see that as a live example also. From around the world, all corners of the world, people used to keep on giving to our Gurudev and our Guruji also. Or those people who are well to do also, who are like well known people also, who are people in the society, well, well recognized people also. Many such people, like I will use the word devta sadrish, means those people who are, what you call that, like devtas means who are well established people. That is how I'll use the word. Those people keep on giving gifts to our Gurudev, kept on giving gifts to our Gurudev from all around the world, and our Guruji also. But we have seen those kind of gifts coming to our Gurudev and Guruji, but what, or, and that too not from one place, sarvato gataha, from all over the world, from all four corners of the world. But in the, just as from all four corners of the world, water from all sources of river keep on going towards the ocean and joining the ocean. In the same way, for a man of study wisdom, a Mahapurush also, the same kind of situation is of the man of study wisdom, that objects from all over the world used to reach them. And which objects? Those which other people, many of us desire those objects, let's go to our Gurudev and Guruji also. but and apuryamanam, but they don't add a wee bit kind of an excitement or disturbance. People offer it because it's like a gaining in their blessings also, and also dravya shuddhi means purifying their earnings also, and also earning punya, so to say, and also dharma. These are all four aspects why people used to give them. Those objects which are desired by people like us, they keep flowing into a man of steady wisdom. But in himself, the man of steady wisdom is what? Achalam pratishtham, undeterred, unmoved, untouched. So there is one question which may come: if our guru is untouched by what we give, then why should we give? You need to remember, you are not giving to the guru, you are giving. Once a guru becomes a man of steady wisdom, a brahmagyani, you are actually giving to the supreme consciousness, to Bhagwan. So blessing is coming from them. Guru doesn't consider himself as any of those things at all. I'll give you one small example, which is a live example in front of me. Once I visited one ashram and my Guruji was there. Many people were prostrating at the lotus feet of our Guruji, and but Guruji was looking here and there. So one person asked Guruji, Guruji, we are prostrating unto you, but you are not even blessing us. So Guruji replied, that answer is so deep and profound. It's like, and by God's grace, by my Guru's grace, it has, it's just coming out of my intellect right now, by his grace only. So Guruji said, you are not prostrating unto me as this physical thing. You are prostrating unto the Brahman, the supreme consciousness, about whom I'm talking. So if your prostration is onto the supreme consciousness, then who am I to bless you? Blessing will also come from him. You don't need to worry about that. So that's a deep and profound line. Only when we see and meet Mahatmas, we can understand which level they are actually working from. The key similarity between in the ocean and a man of steady wisdom is that both of them are apuryamanam, objects and things like rivers and water flowing in from everywhere, keeps on flowing into them because that's their final goal. In the same way, objects also look for them and flow into them. Not just, they don't chase after them, objects chase after them, because things and objects and people, when they offer also, they feel fulfilled by giving them, by the way. So that's the thing which we need to understand. The only difference between this example is, an ocean is getting filled with water from all sources, whereas a man of steady wisdom is getting filled with the objects of desire which are available in the world. Bhagwan Bhashyakar writes here, or in the commentary itself we read, Swatmastam avikriyam eva santam. Just as ocean stays in itself and it does not have any disturbance, so to say, arising in it by water entering from all sides, so to say, in the same way, man of steady wisdom also, even after receiving objects and things from around the world, does not get impacted by them at all. None of those objects, things or anything have got any capability to create any kind of disturbance or thought modification, vikara, in the man of steady wisdom. Means what? The objects, things, and those situations coming into this man of steady wisdom have got no power to keep this man of steady wisdom or take this man of steady wisdom in their control. They are not able to exercise any control at all. That is why this man of steady wisdom always is at the level of peace. P-E-A-C-E, yeah? Not P-I-E-C, peace, Shanti. So that's why Bhagwan, on Supreme Consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna writes here, Kamaha Pravishyanti. One here, For the seeker, Bhagwan said, Dhyayato Vishyan. We should not think about the objects. It's as a seeker, we should not get swayed by the objects. And here, see the difference. For a Jnani, Bhagwan is saying, Kama Pravishanti, all kind of desire keep on entering this man of steady wisdom. For a man of steady wisdom, objects of desire keep on flowing towards him, keep on entering him, just as an ocean. But just as ocean remains undeterred, unmoved, untouched, without any kind of modification, this man of steady wisdom also remains untouched, undeterred. Leave aside the facts of dhyana, meditation, or and your desires, even, and auspicious situation or luxurious situations also, when they enter or touch the life of a man of steady wisdom, they keep on touching the life of a man of steady wisdom, but the man of steady wisdom is unattached to them. The factor is that he is unattached. He sees them as a mere play of God, mere play of this creation, mere play of this entire prakriti. He only trying to facilitate his passage through the life. That is what we need to understand. Many kind of desired objects which we people desire, they run towards the man of steady wisdom, just as rivers run towards the ocean. But Bhagwan Bhashyakar writes here, Tadvat kamaha vishaya sannidhau api sarvatah ichha visheshayam purusham samudram iva. Even though those kind of specially desired objects also, those kind of special desires also, oh, they also reach the man of steady wisdom, touch the life of a man of steady wisdom, but the man of steady wisdom always remains like the ocean. Avikurvantaha, does not pay attention, he does not deter this man of steady wisdom's attention at all. They are not able to touch the state of mind of this man of steady wisdom. Man of steady wisdom is ever placed in his level of peace. I'm just giving you one example, since I picked up the example of ocean as Bhagwan picked up here. Someone may come and say, ocean has got these rough waves and things also. Remember, rough waves and other things are not the property of the ocean. They are created by the wind, the effect of atmospheric pressure. At the level of ocean, it is always calm and quiet. And the best way to see that is, even a rough ocean, which seems rough at the top, you go a little down, you will see how calm and quiet it is from within. So that's an example. Since ocean example came, I should pick up those aspects also. Sometimes you will see a jnani may scold people also. Jnani may, thrash somebody, in thrash in sense, not that way, but scold people for their act also. But their scolding is only external. Within, they are completely quiet. If that person is a man of steady wisdom, I'm talking about. Nothing touches the inner peace and tranquility of the man of steady wisdom. Not even desired objects, not even external luxuries, not even worse kind of situations, not even any kind of so-called disturbances outside. I told you one example some long time back in another podcast. I told you some people went to Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi and said, Bhagwan, we must go from here. He was staying in this place called Tiruvannamalai. His ashram is there. So he was staying there. They said, world war has started. We must move from there. So Swamiji asked, where is the world war happening? He said, Swamiji, I heard it's in Japan or, those places. So he said, where is Japan? So he kept on, asking that question. He said, no, everything is in your mind. That's the state of peace of a man of steady wisdom. These are the examples we should see and understand from the, world around. After all, there should be some state where we will become completely peaceful, completely relieved, we are completely satisfied. And that is the state which Bhagwan is talking about here when he talks about the man of steady wisdom. After all, should not be there one place in our life where we cannot be taken down forever from by anyone? Are we not striving for such a place, that I need to reach a place where, irrespective of situation, things, I can never be taken down? We are all striving for that. And otherwise, what happens in usually whatever effort I do, wherever I reach, there is always a possibility hanging around our neck that, if situation little bit goes other way, and if it spoils a little bit, then, that place will not be called as an achievement. I will have to step down from there, because they are all arising out of my action. I'm going to show you some aspect of the action also as I move along this particular verse. If this possibility is always dangling around my head, that, if I end up doing something wrong, situation will worsen, and then it will not be called as knowledge at all. Then it will not be a actual eternal knowledge. It will be something which is arising out of an action, because that's the property of things arising out of my action. And then if that is the case, then what Ved Bhagwan says is that, na karmana vardhate no kaniyan, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. How will that statement hold true? Now let me just, since I've taken that verse up that, there is some state where we cannot be taken down at all, or that, it is not going to increase with action, it is not going to decrease if we do not do action at all. If there is some state that Ved Bhagwan is talking about, what is that state? Now let us take the contrast of all the actions done in the world. All the achievements which we talk about in the world today, they are achieved out of action, but it doesn't stop there at all. Then once you achieve it, to maintain it also, there is lot of action required to maintain it, to protect it, that it doesn't lose from us. And if we do not do action to protect it or maintain it, we will lose that achievement. I'm just giving you a small example. Let me just take a position example. I can take million examples actually. I'll give you some examples here itself. Just let me take the simplest, easiest one to understand: health. Now, if you take care of your health, it will be maintained. But the moment you lose focus and you stop taking care of your health, it will start getting you into diseases. It will start to deteriorate. That's the first example I'll give you. Second example, the purity of intellect. To gain the purity, lot of effort is required, and to maintain it also effort is required. If we gain it and lose, don't maintain it, the purity will be lost. We'll have to start from scratch again. Even if we just lose the alertness and vigilance for some time, actually that purity is gone, and whatever level we achieved is completely gone. We have to start from all over again. And the kind of peace we started to gain, we will lose that completely. uh, that is the nature of this nature. Sorry, that is the property of this nature, so to say. Nature of this nature means, that's the property of this nature, where we constantly need to actually make it cultured, make it improve. We constantly need to improvise, and we need to improvise one, we need to take care of that second, because vikriti, spoiling, is the nature of things if we leave it like that. Like, I'm just giving you an example. You buy a piece of land, you do nothing about it, after a while it will be like a jungle, it will be like a forest with all kind of weeds. There may be like snakes and also it starts coming in there if you don't care for it. That is the property of the nature. If you leave things like that, the automatic nature is that it will become spoiled, which brings to the point that in nature it is but understood that everything needs to be improvised, cultured, and maintained, so to say. With action, whatever situation you manifest, whatever situation and you make up, it will get spoiled one day, because that's the nature, that's the property of this nature. This fear, that if this fear continues to remain for the state of liberation also, then, and who is going to strive towards liberation? So that's why we need to understand liberation is only one thing from where the property of nature doesn't touch there. So once somebody has reached there, there is no looking back, there is no stepping down. I'll tell you one thing very hilarious, actually, so to say. Somebody went to our guru and asked, our Guruji, that Swamiji, if after liberation, and it is said that you will not be able to come back at all. Swamiji said, yeah. Why? Isn't that the state which you want? No, Swamiji, I'll have to leave all these things and go. Then I think I'll pause for liberation right now. So Swamiji turned back and said, you are saying as if just by saying you are going to get it. Do you even know? You are not even qualified to do that. You have to work a lot towards it. You don't know what you're talking about. The attraction of the world actually stops many people for walking spiritually also. But what such a foolish kind of a thing it is, because continuation of life is not something which anybody can desire, because if they know the end to end of it, they would not want it, so to say. So this fear that if moksha also is such thing which I have to maintain continuously, then how is it different from other kind of achievements? For other kind of achievements, I have to work to gain it, and then work to protect it and maintain it there. And the moment I stop doing it will fall. It is not the case with the achievement called liberation or achievement called spiritual knowledge or eternal truth. There, once you get it, you are free completely, and that is why I told you that is the state of actual freedom. In the case of eternal truth, that is the thing we need to understand. And in the eternal truth, kama pravishanti but vikriya na kurvanti. Even though all kind of desires enter there, why Bhagwan is not talking about self control here for a man of wisdom, and why we said that it is for advice for the seekers. For a man of wisdom, self control is automatic. He doesn't need to take effort for it. It's completely effortless, because he's already gained there. And in the verse where Bhagwan said Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Once you see the eternal truth, all the kind of rasavarjam is gone, all the kind of tastes are gone. You don't need to work towards them anymore. Sa shantim apnoti na kama kami. This is the person who will gain peace, and a peace which is sustained forever, or I would use the word, a peace which is eternal in nature. Because from that state, this person is never going to come down. So that's why this person's peace is eternal. Happiness will be gained by this person. The kind of situation around this person will all be beautified, and there will be happiness coming from the situations also. But there will be permanent happiness driven by this person. I told you the three things now. This person experiences peace forever, happiness forever, and freedom forever. These three things are the things we are all chasing after. All endeavors we do, all act we do in life is to gain these three. And this is the person who will reach a place where nobody can touch his peace, nobody can touch his happiness, nobody can touch his freedom. Those become eternally present for this person. That will become a permanent experience for this person, that will continue to flow forever for this person. If somebody is able to experience this thing, that means that person is already placed in the eternal truth called the self. A man of wisdom is actually sarvatantra swatantra. He is free from everything. Purnataha nirankush. Purnata means is completely free from all kinds of bindings. For a jiva like us, till the time we gain this kind of a freedom, is that jiva mukta. Mukta means free, is liberated. Then, if we have not gained this kind of freedom, what kind of a liberation are we talking about? Liberation's actual meaning is this only. So, if we really remove the Sanyama Upanishad, or the Upanishad of self-control, which Bhagwan mentioned in the 11 verses, there Bhagwan praised the aspect of self-control, and gave the advice of nirahar, or being free from food, for all kind of foods, or of all the senses also. And told us, advised us not to think of objects too much. Why? Because the wisdom of a seeker is right now not ripened, it's raw right now. So, to make it ripened, a seeker has to work towards it. And a seeker has got a goal in his mind to actually reach to actually reach a point where his wisdom, or the knowledge of self, is completely firm in itself. And there, the light of knowledge, the seeker has to protect from all kinds of wind, which Bhagwan has already mentioned. And in the previous verses, Goswami Tulsidas ji says in Ramcharitmanas, as describing about Brahmakara Vritti. Vritti means the thought of I am Brahman, Brahmakara Vritti. There Goswami Tulsidas ji says in Ramcharitmanas Uttarkand, Avat Dekahi Vishay Bayari, te hat dehi kapat ughari. The moment the wind of objects, it starts to run towards us, or starts to flow towards us, what is the nature of our senses? As our senses forcefully try to open the door. That is the state of us as a seeker right now. And Bhagwan also mentioned in the verse number 70, Vayuhu navam iva ambasi. And there Bhagwan has explained to us, it's like the knowledge of self, the knowledge of the wisdom of self, the boat of knowledge of self gets capsized in the wind and gets drowned in the ocean of objects. There the example Bhagwan gave there. Through these verses, actually Bhagwan Bhashyakar has explained that, based on these verses only, Bhagwan Bhashyakar Shankaracharya Bhagwan has mentioned in Bhajagovindam, Yogarato va Bhogarato va Sangarato va Sangavihinaha Yasya Brahmani Ramate Chittam Nandati Nandati Nandatyeva. In 14th chapter, in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also, where we mentioned that verse before, Bhagwan says, Nistrai Gunye Pati, in Bhagwan Bhashakar writes in the description of that particular verse, Nistrai Gunye Pati Vicharataha Ko Vidhi Ko Nishedaha. Says in those verses also, there in the verse number 14 of Bhagavad Gita also we saw there, and in the Bhagwan Bhashyakar in Shukashtakam also writes there, Nistray Gunye Pati Vicharataha Ko Vidhi Ko Nishedaha. For a man of wisdom, actually, there is no kind of binding at all. Nothing binds this. Is completely free from all kind of binds, all kind of strings, so to say. And is completely free in the real freedom aspect. We people who live at the level of transactional reality, we start to fear about our actions also. We feel that freedom is something which is far away for us right now. We people who live at the level of transactional reality, the fear we have for things or situations or achievements of the transactional world, we apply that towards the achievements of the spiritual world also, but that's not correct. And for a man of wisdom, study wisdom, actually, the actions or the transactional things in this world are like actually darkness, or filled with ignorance, or night it for him. That's why Bhagwan has mentioned about the vision of man of wisdom in the last verse. Before we go into the next verse, we'll see in the next session, but I'll read out the commentary of Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji for this particular verse as before I complete the session for today. Pujya Gurudev says, it is very well known that although millions of gallons of water reach the ocean through the various rivers, the level of water in the ocean does not change even by a fraction. Similarly, even though an infinite number of sense objects may pour in their stimuli and reach the mental zone of the perfect man through his five sense channels, they do not create any commotion or flux within his bosom. Such an individual who always finds his own level of balance in spite of the fact that he is living amidst the sense objects and with his sense organs unavoidably ever in contact with the objects is called a man of perfection, a true saint. Krishna asserts that such an individual alone can truly discover peace and happiness within himself. The Lord in the Gita is not satisfied with this negative assertion, hence positively denies any true peace or joy to those who are desirers of desires. This idea is totally in opposition with the modern belief in the material world. The materialists believe that by fanning up their desires and satisfying as many of them as possible, one is helped to live a life of joy and happiness. Modern civilization, based upon industrialization, large scale production, and consumerism, is attempting to whip up desires. This attempt has now succeeded to such an extent that the average man has a million times more desires today than his forefather ever entertained a century ago. The financiers and industrialists, with the aid of modern scientific knowledge, struggle hard to discover and satisfy new desires. To the extent that an individual has come to fulfill his newly created desires, he is taught by the day's civilization that he is happier than ever before. On the other hand, the great Indian thinkers of the past, perhaps through their experience or through their more careful and exhaustive thinking, discovered that the joy created through satisfaction of desires can never be complete. They discovered that joy or happiness at any given time is a quotient when the number of desires fulfilled is divided by the total number of desires entertained by the same individual at that time. This mathematical truth has been accepted by the modern preachers of secularism also, but in their practical application, the old rishis and the modern politicians seem to differ to a large extent. In the modern world, the attempt is to increase the numerator, which is represented by the number of desires fulfilled. The scriptural masters of India were also living in a world peopled by a society of man. Their philosophical contemplations were upon man as a social being, and their aim too was to bring about more happiness in their society. Unlike the present day prophets of profit, these rishis of religion did not conceive that an attempt to increase the numerator without a corresponding attention upon the rate of increase of the denominator could produce any palpable increase in joy. On the other hand, today we are struggling hard to increase the number of desires fulfilled without at the same time trying to control the number of desires entertained. That this state of affairs cannot produce any palpable increase in the quotient of happiness is the scriptural verdict, which seems to be an easily understandable scientific truth. Herein, the Gita is only repeating what the Upanishadic rishis never got tired of emphasizing in the scriptures of India. The desirer of desires can never come to perfect peace, Shanti. Only he who has in a spirit of detachment gained a complete control over his mind so that the sense objects of the outer world cannot create within him an infinite number of yearnings or desires is the man of peace and joy. The objects in the outer world cannot tease a man by their existence or by their non existence. The outer world can borrow its capacity to ill-treat man only when he exposes himself unguarded and gets wounded and crushed by his own attachments to a wrong valuation of the sense objects. In this stanza, Bhagwan is only giving a more elaborate and complete commentary upon the opening line of this section, wherein he started the description of a man of steady wisdom. Therein he explained that when a man completely casts off all the desires from within his mind, he is said to be the one of steady wisdom. That much for today's session. Rest we will see it in the next session. Kayena vacha manasendriyairva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi adyat sakalam parasmai narayanaeti samarpayami श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम तत्सत्